When Paul approached us with the idea of talking to the folks at Coral Restoration Foundation and setting up one of these trips, I mean, it was really a no-brainer.
Me and several other divers from the shop want to do more than just simply dive in the quarry. So over the years, there's been a series of natural and man-made events that have caused the coral population to die. There are a variety of different coral diseases. White band disease is just one, some red tide, some algae blooms, various other things, plus obviously just bad human behavior has caused the overall coral population to start to die off. Dove in the Caribbean and you dove 20 years ago, you can see the difference in the coral population, not only in Florida, but throughout the Florida Keys into the Caribbean areas. So the need to repopulate that coral population is there. So the process of repopulating the coral in that area first starts with a nursery. Certain coral species have been brought into a nursery, which is actually in the ocean, in the open water. They're grown in a couple of different environments. It seems that the most prolific way of growing the coral in the nursery is these Christmas tree fashion. Ken Niedermeyer and some of the other coral restoration staff have grown the coral in the nursery. We harvest the coral from the nursery and then we take it out to different sites where we will affix it to the bottom of the ocean so that it can begin to grow. To affix it, the algae that grows there prevents the coral from adhering very well. So in order to make sure that the coral actually adheres to the ocean, we've got to remove the algae. The process of removing the algae is literally taking a hammer, digging out that area off of the algae. So we're not really we're digging into rock, but we're removing algae is what we're doing. Once the algae is removed, we'll actually attach the coral using epoxy. So there's epoxy. It'll stick on the coral. It'll stick on the substrate. We'll put the coral on top of the epoxy. It'll harden underwater in about an hour or so, and that piece of coral will start to grow. The polyps will start to come back out over time.
You know, we constantly train students to not touch the reef, and for the first time we were handed masons' hammers and chisels and told that we were not hitting the reef hard enough and making it deep enough of a hole to actually plant the new coral bases, the frags or fragments as they call them. Some of the questions that we had from people were whether or not we consider them skilled enough divers to do this. And I think that to dispel that, it's maybe not for a brand new diver, but it certainly doesn't require fantastic level of dive skill. When you're doing the actual installation, it does require good buoyancy because you will be sort of floating above the reef, trying not to knock over other coral as you're planting these coral, but at the same time you are wielding a hammer in one hand and you're trying to hold on to the reef with the other. It can get a little overwhelming for some people, but in general, if you are a new diver and you feel good with your buoyancy, then that's really all and you're excited to help and contribute. That's really the biggest key that we're looking for at this point.
Blue Planet decided to support that, and as part of our own mission has decided to build a Blue Planet Master Diver program, and this kind of supports that overall idea.
With our mission statement really being to differentiate ourselves from sort of the traditional dive shop and really focusing on education and conservation and adventure, then this was just the ideal situation. The idea that we could be giving back while educating our customers and ourselves, and then also just actually going out there and doing the actual work. So it was, it just fit in, keyed in perfectly.